Welcome back to ZNGP today. On the latest episode of Duralavita, three-time world champion Jorge Lorenzo dissected Marc Márquez's Sachsenring masterclass, 2 wins on a circuit dominated by left-handers, and offered frank analysis on tire behavior, riding style, and the psychological edge that sets the Ducati star apart. Aprilia Racing arrives in Brno buoyed by Marco Bezzecchi's strong Sachsenring weekend, front row in qualifying, a near miss in the rain-soaked sprint, and a solid race until a late crash. Now, with reigning world champion Jorge Martín set to return after a lengthy injury layoff, CEO Massimo Rivola lays out his expectations, a brief settling-in period, then 2 Aprilia riders fighting at the front. After months of recovery, legal tension, and speculation, Jorge Martín is finally back. The Czech Grand Prix at Brno marks the long-awaited return of the Spaniard to the Aprilia garage, ending a nearly 4-month absence since his injury in Qatar. With renewed focus and a silent point to prove, Martín isn't just returning to MotoGP, he's rebooting his season. As MotoGP's summer transfer window swings into full view, VR46 team manager Pablo Nieto insisted the squad remains open-minded about future lineups, keeping the door ajar for Pedro Acosta despite existing contracts for Fabio Di Giannantonio and Franco Morbidelli. The comments come amid mounting speculation that the 21-year-old Spaniard, frustrated by the KTM's pace, could leap to Rossi's Ducati-powered outfit. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Lorenzo opened by noting Marquez's uncanny ability to dominate both Saturday's sprint and Sunday's Grand Prix on a track with almost exclusively left-hand corners. He's winning almost every sprint this season, and at Sachsenring, where there are only 3 right-handers, he made an even bigger difference. Jorge Lorenzo's statement. With roughly 12 to 14 left-handers feeding into minimal right turns, Sachsenring played perfectly to Marquez's strengths, allowing him to carve out tenths of a second in every left-hand sequence. What stood out most to Lorenzo was the lack of chassis movement under Marquez's inputs. He's riding with a particularly smooth and elegant style. We're not used to seeing the bike move so little. The bike seems to be riding on rails. Moments like his ultra-smooth exit from the final corner, where he lofted the rear without a hint of spinning, epitomized a level of precision that leaves even seasoned riders in awe. Lorenzo suggested there's something innate in Marquez that gives him superior balance and coordination on left turns. Genetically, Marc has something that makes him much more comfortable, coordinated, and balanced in left-hand corners. He releases the brakes earlier and slides both wheels to stop the bike. It makes all the difference. That natural fluency allowed Marquez to unfurl his speed on the sweeping lefts of T1 and the triple F sections, where he repeatedly put 2 to 3 tenths on his rivals. Lorenzo didn't shy away from critiquing tire performance after a day marked by multiple high-speed low sides. Michelin still hasn't matched the brutality Bridgestone had at the front. Di Giannantonio's crash went like butter, no chance to save it. 2 seconds later, Zarco was on the same lean angle and couldn't even try to pick it up. Rapid grip loss on the front continues to spark debate, a reminder that even the best riders can be at the mercy of tire behavior on the limit. Finally, Lorenzo contrasted Marquez's unwavering belief with Pecco Bagnaya's more volatile confidence. When Marquez passed Pecco in the wet during practice, it was abysmal, about 3 seconds per lap. If you're not psychologically convinced, you can't push, but once you feel good, you quickly become unstoppable. That mental edge, stemming from flawless execution and self-belief, often proves decisive when tenths separate victory from defeat. Jorge Lorenzo's analysis underscored why Marc Márquez stands head and shoulders above the field at Sachsenring, a blend of genetic aptitude, sublime smoothness, and ruthless confidence. As the paddock shifts its gaze to Brno, his words offer a masterclass in what it takes to ride and win at the very edge. Sachsenring marked the first time this season that the RSGP claimed a front-row start, thanks to Bezzecchi's qualifying pace. "I think Marco has the bike really under his control today, but he doesn't have a reference point up front to draw from." Massimo Rivola's statement. That lack of teammate comparison may soon change. Bezzecchi's strong pace in Germany underscores Aprilia's progress since Aragon, but Rivola believes Martin's presence will sharpen both riders. In the sprint, Bezzecchi led 14 of 15 laps, only to be reeled in at the final corner by Marquez. In the full GP, he ran third until a Turn 1 escape road mishap ended his charge. Despite today's crash, we're not discouraged because our hunger for victories is very high. Those near misses are fueling Aprilia's belief that two frontrunners can push each other, and the RSGP, to new heights in the second half of the season. After missing 10 of the first 11 rounds, including a blind arrival in Qatar, Martin benefited from a special one-day test exemption in Misano to refamiliarize with the RSGP 25. The test was positive. We saw him with a smile, at ease on the bike. Physically, he's already much better than in Qatar. That smile is a potent sign for Aprilia. Martin's feedback during the Misano test focused on ergonomics and confidence, crucial factors ahead of his Brno debut. Rivola tempers expectations for Martin's immediate jump to the sharp end. "With Jorge, we should be able to hold him back a bit in the first few races. I think he'll need at least 3 races to get his act together, then I expect to see him up front with Marco." Patience, then pace. Aprilia's plan is to let Martin rebuild race rhythm before unleashing the combined force of their two factory stars. With two hungry riders, Rivola stresses that leadership will emerge from lap times, not hierarchy. There's no such thing as first or second leader, it's the stopwatch and standings that speak for themselves. I hope they pull each other along. As Bezzecchi flies solo, test rider Lorenzo Salvadori has filled the garage role admirably. But the Rivola vision, two riders relentlessly developing the bike, promises to reshape Aprilia's title bid. Brno marks a new chapter for Aprilia, recovering Martin, pushing Bezzecchi, and challenging the established order. If Rivola's 3-race forecast holds true, the Czech GP could be the springboard for Aprilia's most potent partnership yet, and a second half of the season to remember. Jorge Martín hasn't lined up on a Grand Prix grid since his crash in Doha. After missing multiple rounds and quietly navigating his much-discussed rift with Aprilia, the Brno GP could be the spark that reignites his campaign. "I can't wait to get back on the bike. I'm very happy that this moment has finally arrived." Jorge Martín's statement. Following a July 9th test at Misano to ease him back into rhythm, Martin now awaits a final medical check on Thursday to be declared fit for action. His tone? Calm, committed, and fully focused on finishing 2025 strong. Though controversy hovered over his contract earlier this year, Martin appears ready to move forward, at least professionally. The internal atmosphere at Aprilia is still tight-lipped, but optimism is bubbling from within. Together with Aprilia, we have to work hard, because we have a lot of potential to do well. Now is the time to start building. Brno may serve as the reset button, not just for Martin's title hopes, but also for his relationship with the team, which has watched Marco Bezzecchi fly the flag solo in his absence. Speaking of Bezzecchi, the Italian arrives in Brno with unfinished business. His weekend in Germany saw a sprint podium on Saturday, followed by a heart-sinking crash from a podium position on Sunday. Yet his outlook is crystal clear. "I'm really looking forward to recovering from Sunday's performance. We're improving a lot, and I'm very motivated," Marco Bezzecchi added. For Bezzecchi, Brno is both a test of pace and perspective. It's a fresh track, a clean slate, and the final race before the summer break, meaning there's one last chance to gain momentum before MotoGP hits pause until August. MotoGP hasn't raced at Brno in years, making this weekend's event a nostalgic return to a rider-favorite layout. "I'm very happy to be going to Brno, a beautiful circuit where we haven't raced for a long time. It'll be nice to be back," Bezzecchi's statement. The Autodrome Brno offers a fast, flowing rhythm unlike many current layouts. For Martín and Bezzecchi alike, its return feels symbolic, representing renewal, redemption, and the relentless forward motion of the sport. As MotoGP prepares to wave the summer break flag, all eyes turn to Aprilia's garage. With Jorge Martín finally back, Marco Bezzecchi hungry to rebound, and both riders pointing toward progress, Brno could be the start of something meaningful. Not just for race results, but for reconnection, redefinition, and one last surge before the lights go out, again. VR46 currently fields 2 Ducatis, the latest GP25 for Fabio Di Giannantonio, and a GP24 for Franco Morbidelli. While Morbidelli's deal wraps up at the end of 2025, Di Giannantonio boasts a Ducati and VR46 contract extending through 2026. That dual-layer contract gives Di Giannantonio unprecedented job security, even as team insiders acknowledge that transfer season chatter can swirl around any rider. Pedro Acosta hasn't hidden his admiration for Ducati's firepower, describing the GP machines as the benchmark in recent interviews. His public frustrations with KTM's development trajectory have only fueled rumor mills linking him to VR46. At a trackside media scrum in Germany, Acosta's name came up again, this time with a potential Ducati seat beckoning if the stars align. Speaking to DAZN during Sachsenring practice, Nieto clarified Di Giannantonio's secure status but refused to close the door on Acosta. Pedro is a rider who, if you take a look around the pit lane, I think everyone likes. He's got an incredible future in MotoGP. We're always open to anything. Nieto's statement. With one rider contract locked in and another nearing its end, VR46 appears content, but not complacent, in sculpting its roster for 2026 and beyond. Nieto acknowledged that off-season speculation is part of the sport's fabric, but insisted decisions hinge on performance, fit, and long-term vision. In the end, we're in the transfer window, so to speak, and that's always the game of ups and downs that creates a bit of gossip. Rumors may make headlines, but VR46's final moves will reflect a blend of technical needs, rider potential, and team chemistry. The chatter comes on the heels of a frustrating German GP weekend. Di Giannantonio crashed away from second place, while Acosta also failed to finish. Behind the scenes, those misfortunes only sharpen VR46's appetite for reliable point scorers, and keep Acosta's name squarely in the conversation. As the paddock heads to Brno and beyond, VR46's transfer plans remain fluid. With Di Giannantonio contracted, Morbidelli's future unresolved, and Acosta's market value surging, Pablo Nieto's refusal to slam any door ensures the team can adapt, should the right opportunity arise. Ultimately, the final grid won't be sealed until a few laps after the checkered flag on post-season negotiations. Thanks for watching ZNGP today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!